everybody, it's Meredith Miller with Inner Integration. Have you ever had the misfortune of working with a narcissist, another manipulator or toxic person? Could have been your boss, a coworker, an employee, a business associate, customers, or anybody else having to do with that work environment. Today, I want to give you 7 tips for dealing with toxic people at work. Now, it can be terrifying to feel like your professional reputation, your career is on the line and at the mercy of manipulative people. It can feel like there's no way out because you're dependent on that job. Work is how you earn a living. So those fears can run deep into your financial well-being, your survival, and even the survival of your family. According to CNN Money, 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency. The more desperate you are financially, the more risk you run in dealing with these people in the workplace because you are dependent on that job. Manipulative people can smell your financial desperation. That gives them a sense of power over you. That makes you an easy prey for them because they know that you're dependent on that job, that you're willing to do almost anything to pay your rent or to put food on the table for your children. Has it ever happened to you that you applied for this job and everything sounded great, but then once you were in too deep, you found out that things weren't as they were promised? The salary wasn't the same as they promised, or the commission deal, or maybe the responsibilities were very different. Something was very different around that job than you were promised, but it was too late by the time you realized. So here are my 7 tips for dealing with toxic people in the workplace. Number 1 is have the least contact possible with them. That means you're only talking about work. You're not talking about anything else, and you're only talking about what's absolutely necessary, which you absolutely need to talk with them based upon your job responsibilities. That means you're not going out to lunch with them, you're not going to happy hour, you're not going to parties on the weekends where you know that these manipulative colleagues will be. Be civil. So don't be rude or disrespectful, but you don't owe them your kindness. Your indifference will do just fine. Delegate the least amount of work possible. Any kind of tasks that you need done, do not delegate to toxic people because you run the risk of them sabotaging the project, of them putting you into a last-minute emergency situation where you're left carrying all of that burden of responsibility. Passive-aggressive people are the worst for this. They may not overtly look like abusive people, but it's more in their inaction. They don't take action. They avoid taking action, and that's what puts you in a really bad place if you're counting on them to deliver that work. Number 2, stop people-pleasing. Are you the one who's always working overtime, late hours, holidays, picking up the extra slack that other people haven't done? Maybe you keep helping people who are taking credit for your work. Maybe you're sacrificing your needs and your well-being in order to keep that job. Or maybe you keep getting passed up for promotions and raises, so you work harder and you give harder, hoping that they'll notice your value and they'll reward you for that. When you're in a toxic environment and people are dumping all this on you because they know that you've been the one who's always done that, you need to start setting boundaries, stop that people pleasing, and only carry out the responsibilities and duties of your job. Number 3, don't fall for the love bombing. Remember, that's just a seduction. That's a manipulation. You know, if your boss is telling you what a wonderful person you are and you're so incredible and you're the only person who can do this job and do it so well, you know, they're setting you up for putting too much on you, getting you to overcompensate, to take on too much, to people please, or that's just a sign that the next evaluation is right around the corner. Your value and your validation need to come from inside you. Stop looking towards your boss, your colleagues, your coworkers, your customers, whomever, to define your value and to validate you. Part of that love bombing could be false promises that are made, like dangling a carrot on a stick to keep you hanging on. Like maybe they know that you can go find another job, that you could hire somebody else, that you're looking beyond there. And so they keep promising you these things to keep you holding on there. Be very careful about believing those sorts of empty promises. Number 4 is don't share your personal life in a toxic environment. That means you got to have boundaries around what you're sharing. You're not talking about your happiness. You're not talking about your sadness. You're definitely not sharing your personal struggles. Most importantly, you are never revealing your financial worries, your financial state, because that is what gives them power over you. If you let them know in a job interview or even within that work environment that you're financially desperate, that gives toxic people the leverage and the power to hold that over you, knowing that you absolutely need that job to pay your bills. Don't talk about your family or what you do outside of work. Any of that could be used against you. Don't share your sense of loneliness or your availability. Like maybe you're single and you're looking to date someone, or you're new in town and you don't have a lot of friends yet. Do not reveal that stuff in a toxic environment. When people keep interrogating you and trying to extract personal information from you, be very short, to the point. Again, be civil, but not overly kind. And then keep swinging the conversation back to that person. Ask them about them so they talk about their own life. When there is one toxic person in that environment, be extra, very careful about who you trust around there. Remember, people can be flying monkeys, even people that you don't expect to be flying monkeys. When you're talking about a survival situation, people don't want to be the target of that abuse. It could be that people are just trying to survive, and so they say something that ends up coming back to you or hurting you, or it could be that those people are also cut from the same cloth. Now, maybe you've had a meeting with other colleagues or people about someone whose performance is not good, someone whose behavior is unacceptable. This could be someone that that the group is planning on confronting or maybe even firing. That meeting could take place formally, or maybe it's an informal thing that they just get into conversation in the elevator or in the lunchroom or something like that. Be very careful. If people are willing or telling you they're willing to walk into that meeting to confront that person or to fire that person, and then in front of that person, they back down. Be very careful, because that means those people do not have healthy boundaries. That means you're not safe around them. The things you share about those people whose behavior is unacceptable could be used against you. And also, it's just not safe because they don't have the proper boundaries. They're talking about it, but they're not taking action. Number 5 is cover your ass. That means get everything in writing. Usually email is the best way to communicate at work. CC other people when necessary and when possible. That means the rest of your team or boss or anybody who might need to weigh in on that. Be sure that your communication is direct and explicit. You're not leaving any holes or opportunities for them to twist things around, pretend like they didn't understand, or call it a miscommunication between you, because toxic people love to do that stuff. So don't give them that opportunity. Check and double check your work. Don't give them the opportunity to use your mistakes against you. Most importantly, you need to own 100% integrity, because if you don't, anything that you do out of your own integrity can be used as leverage against you by toxic people. Number 6, if you need something from the toxic person, you may need to use counter manipulation. This would be, maybe you need a raise, maybe you need a reference, maybe you need their cooperation in some kind of way. What you're going to do is sort of a purposeful fawning. It's not the unconscious fawning. It's you consciously knowing what you're doing. You're giving them some adoration or praise. You're admiring the narcissist, because the narcissist needs admiration. So when you admire them, they soften up to you and they're more willing to do what you want. Don't overdo it. Don't make it extremely obvious. Make them look good. So you can directly or indirectly imply that somehow your presence, your performance makes them look good. Maybe you're in sales and you are responsible for bringing in millions of dollars in sales, and that makes your boss look good because he or she can say his or her department is generating all of these millions of dollars in sales, even though they personally didn't do the work, you did, but you're making them look good. Now, if you're dealing with a sociopath, you need to show strength and confidence, not domination, because they'll see that as competition, but strength and confidence, because you don't want to show weakness. If you show weakness, they will prey upon you. They will bully you. Now, this is going to feel dirty. So remind yourself, this is tactical survival in a hostile environment and an extreme situation. This is temporary. This is not meant to be long-term, and this is certainly not how you want to be in normal human interactions, but this is not a normal human interaction. It's more like counter-terrorism. You need to study the target and come up with strategic actions. Again, do not plan to use this long-term. Otherwise, you will risk losing yourself, your health, and your sanity. Number 7, do not give away your last power move until their part is also on the table. Do not trust what they say or they promise, even if they say that in front of other people, and even if other people is the attorney. If they tell you, I trust you, be careful, because that is exactly what a manipulator will say right before they fuck you over. The bottom line here is you're still going to need to look for another job. If that other person, whether it's a colleague, a boss, or a client that the rest of the company does not want to fire and you're going to have to deal with long term, you really got to check in with yourself and say, look, if they're not going to leave, and it's they leave or I leave, you really got to consider leaving that job as soon as possible so that you can save your health, your sanity, your peace of mind, your success, and your dreams. And if possible, I highly suggest that you build your own business so you don't have to deal with toxic people anymore. Because you can go from company to company to company, and chances are you're going to keep running into people like this because there are a lot of people like this out there. You can manage those boundaries temporarily. Meanwhile, you're quietly making your plans to get another job or to build your business. But keep in mind that it's going to be exhausting. It's going to drain your energy. It's going to give you a headache. It's going to suck in the meanwhile. So you got to keep your eye on the long game. You got to keep your eye on the long term plan that you're creating, and remind yourself this is temporary. Now, your subconscious is not going to believe you if you're not taking action, if you're not making those plans quietly to find another job or to build your business, and it's still going to feel like there's no way out. So you need to be actively working on those plans. You don't want to tell them that you're leaving until the absolute last minute. Whatever your contract depicts, if you have to give them 2 weeks notice or whatever that notice is, the very last minute. And understand that if you tell them earlier than that, as soon as they know that you're going to leave, that's going to give them the opportunity to want to sabotage you, to want to sabotage your efforts to leave on good terms, to find another job. So make sure that you have quietly worked all of that out before you let them know that you're leaving. Do not give them an explanation or any reasons why. Simply thank them and let them know the date that you'll be leaving. You want to end the conversation. If you give any explanations, they're going to take that as an opening to negotiate with you, and that's not what you want. Be sure that you're doing a lot of self-care work when you get home. If you're dealing with an incredibly toxic environment at work, that's at least probably 40 hours of your week. That's a lot of time. So make sure that you're building in time to take care of yourself. extra good when you're outside of work. That means getting out at lunch. Don't stay in the work environment. Don't go out with them. Maybe you want to take a brisk walk around the place at lunchtime or a nice drive somewhere, do a little anger processing, whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Your best protection is to build your own business. Now, that doesn't happen overnight, and it requires a massive investment of time and energy. And that can be really hard when you have another job, when you need that job to pay your bills, and you're working on building that business part-time, overtime, on nights and weekends. But where you have the desire to do that, where you have the desire for that dream, and you have the willingness to put in that work, it is possible. Owning your own business, of course, comes with more responsibility. But owning your own business gives you financial independence, and that is priceless. Now, if you go into business with other people, you're still running that risk of one of them or more of them turning out to be toxic or bringing other toxic people into the mix. When you own your own business, you're the one in control of that. You get to decide who you hire and who you fire. You get to decide what clients, what projects you're taking on, and which ones are too big of a headache and not worth the money. You get to fire those clients and choose them. Your freedom is priceless, and that's what comes with entrepreneurship. So if that's something you're interested in a training and how to do that, let me know in the comments. I've heard from people sometimes asking me how you do that, how you set up your own business. So I've considered creating a training based on helping people set up an online business. So you can be your own boss, you can create your financial freedom for yourself, for your family, so that you can live your purpose and make a difference in the world. If you're already dreaming about that sort of thing, you're in the second stage of healing, you've taken self-responsibility, you might want to check out our Mental Ninja Mastery, which is a group monthly training that I do one Saturday every month. It's a live stream with me for an hour. I give you a class on a particular topic. Last month was on the 5 defense mechanisms that are sabotaging your life and how to upgrade those into more mature defense mechanisms. People loved that training. You'll get those trainings in the member area. You get the last 6 months of those trainings in there, so you can catch up on the ones from the months before. The first one in February was on building your dream, protecting your dream, which is really the first stage to build your dream, because if you don't protect it, things are going to get in there and sabotage and corrupt that, whether it's external or internal. So if you've dealt with toxic people in the workplace, leave a comment below to help other people who are going through that. If you got some value out of this video, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment below so that I know. I'm sending you all a big hug.